That's good advice, John. You need to hear that type of stuff.
I try, we try to give you useful
Yeah.
information that can give you the insights you need for your life, but also tell you about technology, what you need to know. J Moore Tech Talk Show, where we answer questions about technology, explain the way they should work, and why they don't sometimes. Well, hey everybody, it is John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur here, and welcome once again to another amazing episode of the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Marcus, we are on the last Friday of January. It's great to have you here, by the way. You look great as always.
Thank you.
Um, I don't know. Where did this month go?
Yeah, it's like we were in a dream and we woke up and it was a new day.
I remember saying Happy New Year to you like
Yeah, I do.
just a day or two ago, right?
Yeah, it was like a second ago.
And January kind of flew by. We're getting some really frigid temperatures here.
Hmm.
I heard we're gonna have 7. We had 6 today. We had like 16, and I just wish it would kind of balance out a little bit. This is that pipe freeze weather. So,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, if you have pipes and you have any outdoor equipment, make sure you check on those places, especially if you have heaters. I always recommend leaving them on all the time, whether you're in condos, etc., or utility places. Make sure they're on and check to make sure they're running, because if they're not working, people say, I want to turn them off because they're going to save a little bit of money. But those few cents, if your pipe breaks, well, you're going to have more headaches. Like, you're not going to have a warm shower, and you're going to have a few bills like pipes to fix.
that's good advice, John. You need to hear that type of stuff.
I try, we try to give you useful
Yeah.
information that can give you the insights you need for your life, but also tell you about technology, what you need to know, and what you should stay away from. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, we have been talking about the infamous 5G, right,
Mhm.
for a while, right? But did you know that 5G is not new?
Wow, that's news to me, John, and I think the audience is really appreciating hearing that news flash. Yeah.
Um, so, how do I know that? So, a couple things. First of all, I am a licensed ham with a tech license. And I'm happy to say that just a few days ago, on the 23rd, that I actually, after studying, got my general. So, what that basically gives me is the keys to the kingdom. So, I could talk almost anywhere around the world. And
Awesome.
really happy about that. And ham radio is amazing. But so, why do I bring this up to you?
Mhm.
So, in the ham radio world, okay, and some of that has come out from other hams. And by the way, the
Right.
military is even on ham radio. They're on
Mhm.
specialized frequencies and channels. But the reason I say this is that 5G was something, they didn't call it 5G. They called it something else. I'm not sure what they called it, but it existed 10, 15 or more years ago. And the FCC, the federal, the the federal communications people, which I'm sure you guys know, um, Federal Communications Commission, actually banned amateur hams from doing 5G communication.
Impressive. And I immediately started thinking about quad cam as you were talking.
It's a small world. And the funny thing is, not to get too much into radio, but I had just took my test a few days ago. Now I'm studying for my extra, which will be, and by the way, you can get your license and it's good forever. You don't have to pay anything to renew it. It's good for 10 years. As
Wow.
long as it's not revoked, you can go back online. It's good. So I got my tech 5 years ago, and I got to play a little bit. For those of you who don't know, I'm also involved in emergency management. And that kind of opened the doors for me wanting to learn that, and now going to study to become an EMT. It's beneficial to have this because not all emergency people have a ham radio license. And just to let you know, you can listen on any ham radio channel that you'd like. But you may not speak on any of those channels unless you're a licensed FCC ham radio operator. Now, people say to me, John, well, what if I want to say something and you're around? So there is a provision that as long as you didn't have a license and it wasn't revoked, you can, as a third party, if the operator, myself, whoever it is, allows you to transmit a message of moral or personal character, it is permitted. So, by the way, the ham is not used for selling anything. It is all free.
Wow. That's a real fun fact, and I think the audience is going to appreciate being able to leverage that.
So why I'm bringing this up, Marcus, is that 5G started many years ago, and it was called something else, and the FCC said, nope, you guys can't do it. It's too noisy, which basically means there's too much interference coming from it. Now, something very interesting, as you guys know, we have LT, we have 4, we have 5, and even working on 6, unfortunately. And so when we got into like the 4, where we were talking about CDMA, okay? And what the heck is CDMA? Have you ever heard of CDMA before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I can never remember what the acronym stands for.
So if I had to ask anybody, what does CDMA stand for in this? I'll call it in the cell phone data world, because it's really the cell and data world. It stands for Code Division Multiple Access. GSM stands for Global System for Mobiles. And if you remember, there was the whole thing that, whether you're getting GSM, CDMA, and some carriers didn't support GSM, if you remember that. And so they were saying you want to get GSM because it was easier to transfer your phone and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, and I remember being overseas in Iraq, and if you didn't have a GSM, you was not going to be able to call out.
Right. You didn't want to have to deal with SIM cards and stuff like that. So you had the GSM, so it was able to just be able to be added to your plan very easily. And so GSM actually was in Europe before it was here in the United States. But why do I bring this up? So CDMA is in the lower markets, which is we're talking about the 3 and the 4 technology. When we get into 5 technology, guess what? Did you know that 5G is not on the towers?
That's interesting. Where could it be?
So in many towns, what they're doing now is they are putting boxes up below the cable and telephone lines if they run, like you see the poles. And about every 2 to 4 feet, there are these little boxes they put up.
All right.
And that is your, basically that is the communication point that acted like the tower. So that's your transmitter and your receiver acting just like the tower. Now, that's why this happened to me a few months ago. I was traveling on one road in Franklin Lakes, and it would always drop by call, like 98% of the time. And it was always when the weather was bad, or sometimes if the weather is nice. It didn't matter. And you talk, and I'm like, okay, you only have about 60 seconds, and the call is going to drop. Why? Well, because I'm on that road. When I make the turn, when I'm almost at that street, I'm about maybe 30 seconds of street, it's going to drop. If it does, we'll just call you back when I get to the end. Oh, okay. So I noticed something back around, I don't know, maybe December. In early October, November, they had these unmarked trucks. They were in our towns, okay? And they were hired by the cell phone carriers. And the interesting thing about them is they're getting the cheapest contractor at the lowest bid. So they're putting in the cheapest equipment, the cheapest quality to build the cheapest infrastructure. And so it was around December time that I went to use my phone. I'm like, something interesting happened. I didn't get disconnected. I wonder why that is. They didn't put any more towers up. It's because they started installing 5G transmitter receiver modules on the poles, putting right basically every so many feet.
Right.
And so that's where your 5G is. And that's why the cell phone companies want to shut down 4G. Because it's costing them a lot of money to keep those towers running.
Exactly. I can imagine what they're raking up on costs, and it would make a lot of sense to just switch over to 5G. But what's stopping them right now?
Okay, very good point. So they've done this in a lot of places, as I mentioned, a lot of towns. And so AT&T and Verizon are delaying the 5G near US airports.
Mm,
So we talked about this on another show that the 5G network and the right around the 5 point, I think it's 123 or the 5.123 is right around the range of it in the 5G band, that actually is saying that it can cause interference to airplanes, specifically the altilimiters. The
okay.
altilimiters, as we mentioned before, is that very sophisticated, expensive device on the airplane that tells the pilot how to land that very heavy piece of metal safely on the ground, because they need to know whether they're at 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 feet. That could be a
Right.
big problem, right?
Instantly. That could be devastating.
Yeah, it's a safety concern. So now they have put a ruling in place for the moment that it's going to forbid 5G wireless networks within 2 miles of a runway.
Uh,
The airline industry has warned that the new network would allow consumers much faster internet access, but it could interfere with the sensitive airplane instruments like the altilimiters and might seem to cause some issues with the visibility of operations on the plane's control system.
mm,
So, and I want to quote here when they asked the airlines a while back, will 5G be implemented everywhere in the country except within approximately 2 miles, or for those that are from Europe, 3.2 kilometers of the airport runways at some key airports? What do you think they said?
they gave a mixed bag of the answer.
So I
That'll
want
be
to
my
quote
assumption.
something that was actually said in the Guardian, and I quote: "AT&T and Verizon say they say now. Listen to this: their equipment will not interfere with aircraft electronics, and that the technology is being safely used in many other countries. Both companies confirmed to the Guardian they were voluntarily limiting the deployment near certain airports. Baloney.
You know what? You just took the word out of my mouth, John. I can't-
Volunteer my whatever."
You're
So
not volunteering.
people said that 5G is the newest generation of cellular networks. That
Mhm.
is true. But for any of you that are a ham radio operator, you'll understand that, and without to get too much into radio here, we have what we call upper sideband and lower sideband. So there's different numbers. But the funny thing about radio is that when you talk about bands that are actually what we would think are lower, they're higher.
Mm,
Okay. If we talk of
okay.
bands like 160, 80, they're lower. They just reversed. I don't know why they did that, but they did that. So a while back, they said, well, you can have all the bands that are in this number, and then, we'll just give it away because, nobody needs them. And, you guys can have them. You can do anything. So they gave it away to the amateur and said, we don't really care about them. But what they didn't realize, Marcus, is that the 1.25 meter band, which is supposedly that number seems to be small, it's very high. It
Mhm.
has the ability of communicating very, very quickly.
Mm,
A
it's impressive.
1.25 meter band has speeds of 56, um, basically 5,600 baud.
Wow.
Okay. So remember, this whole thing about them saying that there was nothing to do with this and they didn't care. This is where a lot of your frequencies are being used, but they didn't think there was any benefit to them, so they gave
Mm,
them all away, and nobody seems to be mattering it. But it's funny, when we talk about these things like the 5, you know, um, gigahertz band and the they are really getting into some territory that could affect a lot of people. The FCC, Marcus, already knows this.
yeah.
And that's why they have forbidden hams to do 5 um, um, G communication. Again, they didn't call it 5G.
Mhm.
but it's very interesting, how it works. I mean, as we know, cable's been around for a while, 50 and 70, 5 ohms, 50 for towers and 75 for your cable at home. So radio is not new, and
Exactly.
wireless is not new. It's just they rebranded it, put it into a new package, and oh, it's new technology. It's not. When you deploy a 5G network or higher, there's a lot of things that can come off that network. Um, there's some radiation and there's a period of time, but also it's extremely noisy. That's the real reason.
Mhm.
And so we got a big safety concerns for airports, and who knows whatever else we have safety concerns for.
Yeah, you never know, and I don't think they studied enough to find out what are the long-term effects.
So they claim that they have it in 40 other countries. I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah.
I want to quote again: the telecom companies have pointed out that there have not been any accidents in other countries where 5G is operational, and American airlines regularly fly to those countries. That's still not enough to convince me.
No.
So what's everybody making such a big stink about? Verizon and AT&T had initially planned to launch 5G not too long ago, right?
Yep.
In
Last month.
December. But the rollout has been delayed until the beginning of January because of the concerns of the aviation industry. Well, we're in January now. It's rolling out, but
Mhm.
they're having some, as they say, voluntary restrictions for no meaning other than they just feel they're going to not do it. See, that just doesn't wash with me.
No.
So they both talked about reducing the strength of their 5G around airports and helipads. We didn't even talk about helicopters. That's another problem.
Yeah.
At the lower power levels nationwide. But here's the thing, Marcus. They've only
Mhm.
agreed to do this for the first 6 months.
Oh wow.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that either. Uh, what? Why do you think that is? What is
I want to
really?
quote the CEOs of 10 passenger cargo airplanes, Delta, United, and Southwest, and I quote, warned that 5G would be more disruptive than they originally thought because dozens of large airports that were to have buffer zones to prevent interference with aircraft would still be subject to flight restrictions announced by the FAA.
Mm.
The CEOs have asked that 5G be banned within 2 miles of the runway. Interesting how the cell phone carriers said that they have voluntarily agreed to.
That don't sound like much volunteering to me, John. It sounds like more negotiation going on
Yeah, it's a
than
negotiation.
volunteering.
The thing is, if they admit that it's a problem, now that's going to put Verizon or whoever the carrier is, T-Mobile or whoever, it's going to put them on a hot seat. So by them volunteering, they're saying there's no problems. Remember, if they stop it and they admit it, now there could be a problem. And if there's a problem down the road, that could be a serious issue, right?
Yeah, imagine all the lawsuits that have come out of that and all the mudslinging in the press.
Yeah, I see this becoming a big problem. And just what I told you about, networks with these companies in your neighborhood, if you check around and if you haven't seen the trucks already, I mean, you'll know if you have 5G in your network and in your area. And chances are you probably do have it. And if you have poles, they can sneak it up there very quickly and easily.
Yeah.
But you didn't realize how noisy it was. And by noise, we don't mean sound. We mean disturbance to other magnetic infrastructures in the wonderful world that we live in. So that's definitely a problem. And so we'll keep you posted on that. But I just thought it was interesting that they have voluntarily.
Yeah. You might want to use that with bigger quotes.
So another interesting thing in the news, there's a shortage of lithium for electric vehicle batteries. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, this is becoming a rapid growing problem, especially as they want to grow the production of electric vehicles.
Yeah, so there's a global supply shortage of the metal, and the Western countries racing to bring on new mines to compete with China.
Hmm.
So, this is a problem. Lithium is produced from hard rock or brine mines, and Australia is the world's biggest supplier with production from the hard rock mines. Argentina, Chile, and China is mainly producing it from salt lakes. So, a little bit different there.
Yeah.
And lithium carbonate prices have kind of rocketed up to really off the chart highs in this past year due to the strong demand from the Chinese battery makers.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you need to get a battery for your car, expect to pay a little more money, or if you need to get one of those batteries for your key fob or something, expect to pay a little bit more money.
Yeah. Oh man, this is going to cause some real shaking in the sheets for those who need lots of this.
Exactly. It's a problem. So China's hoping, they're always hoping, to meet charging
Along many
demands
other
of
things.
20 minutes
That's a lot.
plus EVs by the end of 2025. Wow.
Yeah, so it looks like we got a lithium race going on here almost.
Yeah, and who's going to get it first and who's going to be charging more? It's almost going to be like extortion the way I see it.
It is, and whoever can control these mines and outprice everyone else, yeah, they're gonna be the giant.
Yeah, so, but we're trying to get some more online. But the question is, are we going to be able to hold them back for what we need, or are they going to sell them off to China or another country because they're making more money off of them? That's the real question, Marcus. Are we going to do what's right for our country, or are they going to do what's right for their pocketbook?
Yeah, and at the rate that the global economy is going, I think they're going to go the latter. I think they,
They're going to take it from the highest bidder.
yeah,
Kind of like that guy did with the masks, the N95 masks. They had a raid, obviously, by the government, but he was selling them for some awful price, like, I don't know, 10 times what the mask cost. And the other guy who took, I think it was laptop cameras because they realized there was going to be a big demand for those,
mhm.
the webcams from several of the companies. And if, let's say, the camera cost $190, well, that same camera was $990.
Oh man,
So I get we need to make a profit, and there's nothing wrong with making a profit, but I don't think extortion is legal in any country.
no, it's not, and just gripping the government by their wherever you want to
You want
grip
what I
them
want to
by.
say? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We know what you mean.
It's not fun either. It's no fun.
No,
It's no fun to have to be a part of this thing that's happening in our world right now.
and when we talk about our world, the new world, as we know, is called, they
Mhm.
call it Meta. But again, Facebook, Meta, the meta world where everything is kind of digital and interactive and AI. Well, Facebook, Meta, whatever floats your boat to what day you want to call them, for which day that is. They are remove the Iran-based fake account targeting Instagram users in Scotland.
Mm.
That's an interesting, and I think the reason they're going after Scotland is because Scotland it's a hidden money capital. People want
Mm.
to put money away. They don't really have to pay attention to the U.S. rules. It's kind of like a don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
And Scotland's more than happy to cooperate with people that just want to quietly place their money there.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense why Facebook Meta would take up for them. Uh, Makes a lot of sense.
It's a lot of sense. But my question is, with doing this type of thing, is this just the beginning, right? Is it just Scotland? Is it going to be other places?
What we do know is that Facebook / Meta, they have their pick and choose days of who they have interest in supporting.
It's funny. It looks like one day, Marcus, they want to help the world and be that good Samaritan. And other days, they're just looking to grab everything they can to be alive. They're not a company that I would ever trust.
No, I can imagine the body bags that's like lined up in the back somewhere headed to the waist.
They would basically say whatever they need to say to get out of trouble. I think we can all agree with that. And we've
Yes.
learned that from the wonderful whistleblower that we had. And maybe there'll be more that comes forward. Who knows? But I think a lot of people, Marcus, they're not stand up people. They're pretty much, okay, I'll give you this and you'll be quiet. Well, no, I'll give you this and you'll be quiet. You'll give me 3 times and I'll be quiet. Okay, we'll give you 3 times and then you'll be quiet.
Hmm.
I mean, people can be bought so easily, Marcus. That's what disappoints me.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. I agree with you.
So I have to keep an eye on Meta and Facebook, but I am happy that they at least did remove those accounts, and so now they're trying to get a lot of great press from that. It's like they do one thing that's good. They cuddly want to they want to blow that horn. And I was always told in my religion, and we're not going into religion, but if you want to give to the poor or if you want to help people out, you know, don't go blowing a trumpet in the street. Hey, I just gave everybody in the poor, I bought everybody food today. Do it in secret. And what is done in secret will be repaid in secret, whoever you believe your creator is and whatnot. But interesting thing.
Yeah.
Talking more about the economy and the growth, General Motors is doing something pretty interesting, I have to say.
Yeah. If you've been to a auto show lately, you would have found out.
Probably online because we're not going in person.
Of course, you got to add that in there.
General Motors is about to deliver their electric SUV, Cadillac Lyric, to customers in just a few months. So I'm thinking that'll probably be before the end of the quarter.
As I look at this thing, it's a pretty slick ride too, John. It's definitely Cadillac style. I like it.
It is. It's trying to take some lines from the Tesla. You notice that? I can see the way the doors are. I don't know if the handle is the same way, but
Yeah.
it's kind of contoured very similar to some of the lines of the Tesla. And I think they were going for that.
Yeah. Why not? Why break something that's already working? Just steal it, right?
Right. But we're not seeing, and they only have to change one thing, Marcus, and then suddenly it's it's not anything protected anymore. They can just change one thing in the formula, and now, well, it's not part of the patent anymore. So when we talk about other countries, which we do all the time, we don't really talk about Italy too much, do we?
No, you don't.
Or France? No, I'm going to talk about them today. Italy's antitrust recently recalculated Apple and Amazon fines after a material error.
Oh no. Yeah, this is newsworthy.
That just kind of blows me out of the water.
Are you sure that they recalculated and that they didn't get a phone call and say, "Hey, if you do this for us, maybe next time"?
No, Italy, I don't think is like that. It's about an antitrust regulation, they say. So that's pretty tight. They can't really play games with antitrust. And so, Italy, I have to say, France too, they really try to keep their noses clean. They really don't like to get it the slight bit dirty. If they blow their nose, they pretty much want to use a tissue, even if they have slight moisture around their nostrils. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on and to see, what happens.
Yeah, it is. I'll be definitely looking forward to it because we do know that Amazon and Apple, along with their other buddy Facebook. They cannot step away from the antitrust regulations that they tend to like step on and
Yes,
squash.
exactly. Now I have a question. How much do you think the fine amounted to?
I'm gonna guess somewhere in the million mark.
Yeah, keep going up. It just million is not
Oh,
enough.
okay. Let's go tens
So
of
it's
millions.
114.7 million euros.
Wow.
If we convert that into US dollars, it's 130.04 million.
Oh yeah, they're hitting these guys hard.
And 58.6 million euros for Amazon and 134.5 million euros, which is 68.7 respectively, for the other companies. So it wasn't just one. You got Apple was the first one and Amazon for the second. So they got dipped over 200 maybe even close to 250 million, not quite, euros.
Wow, that is insane. Yeah, I hope they learn because those fines are just going to keep coming every time they break a rule.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but like I said, Italy usually doesn't play politics. They if you owe them money, they're very similar to the government. They don't really play games with you. They don't play political games with you. They want their money. They don't care if you don't have any business. They don't care if something's wrong. Sometimes they'll work with you, but at the end of the day, they just want their money. And Italy reminds me of that similar philosophy that they're all business.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it just means that Italy doesn't get themselves involved in things they shouldn't be. They kind of mind their business. So Italy and Apple handed a 225 million in antitrust. That's what so they're saying with all the calculations in back because they're wrapping it in kind of. So Italy fines Amazon and Apple. They did sum it up because apparently those numbers were not exactly correct from what I saw in the original sheet. 230 million alleged reseller.
Wow.
So over an alleged reseller collusion. And this happened following an investigation into reselling of Apple and Beats Kit on Amazon's Italian e-commerce marketplace. Oh, so it came from the e-com place. Yeah, I feel that they're another one. They just do whatever they have to do to make their money, but I can't see them as a company that has a high level of ethics, at least not from my experiences.
No, we have yet to come across something that they actually do that's morally right.
And they'll say anything you tell them when they're in the news. But at the end of the day, they just really don't talk from just one side of the mouth. They talk from at least two, maybe more.
That's very true.
So, very, very interesting, what's been happening and what's going on. But I think we'll just kind of have to see, what's going to happen because we've said this before, Marcus, that all these companies from Facebook, Amazon, and people we don't even know, they're all basically they're all basically there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the problem because of that whole reason. And I think people need to understand that if we've said this before, if you get your hand caught in the cookie jar, you're gonna get in trouble. Don't we know that yet, or no?
I don't think they believe it though.
Well, so are they doing this now? Italy's not trying to set an example. Italy wants their money. I mean, this is not like another country. It was another country. I would say, they're trying to set an example, but Italy doesn't need to set an example. Italy's just trying to do what they need to do. That's what they're doing at the end of the day. They're just trying to do what they need to do. And they want to get their money back. And if they're owed money, then they need to get that money back.
That's very true. Yeah, I think you're right on the right mark with that remark, and it's really going to be interesting to continue to observe what's happening over there overseas.
So we'll have to just kind of see what happens. But I think they just want to get what's done. I think what they do want to maybe say is that if something's going on, I think the only message that they might be trying to say is, hey, no other company better attempt this. Because I feel if they let this get off and somebody finds out about it, that's going to be a big issue.
Oh yeah, that'd be blown. The cover on that'll be blown. There will not be any cover to tighten and seal that type of uh, activity happening when smaller companies maybe be fined to the point where they should be in prison rather than receiving the fine.
It's funny how they make all these pathways that don't seem to normally exist. And it's like they create these special entry points and exits that just get destroyed as soon as they're done.
That's right. That's right. It's like getting on a bad roller coaster. You're going up the stairs and it looks nice, but after a while, you're like, man, this is terrible. This is just, it's just a bad decision.
And I have a special as our last story. I wanted to keep this a secret from all of you. The U.S. athletes, and I quote, were told to use burner phones at Beijing's Winter Olympics. Why? Because of concerns of surveillance and malicious software. So the United States Olympic and the Paralympic Committee, and I quote, is telling athletes to ditch their personal phones for burners ahead of next month's Winter Olympics in China, according to the report from the Wall Street Journal. They sent this out twice. Every device, communication, transaction, and online activity may be monitored. That's pretty terrible.
It is. Oh man.
But even if the athletes use their burner phones to surf the net, they might not get unlimited access like they do with their regular phone.
No, they're not.
And back in 2008, China promised to offer spectators, journalists, and athletes unrestricted access to the web, since the Great Firewall of China currently blocks a number of popular websites, not to mention in the country, like Google, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Netflix, and more. Did you know they're all blocked in China?
Oh yeah, that's very, very much a true fact.
And I have
yeah.
to say, China unfortunately did not follow through on their promise. Journalists could not get online, and they had to have their own devices, including the BBC China and a number of Hong Kong newspapers, as well as the site for human rights organization Amnesty International.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they even said. So it was a source right from them. So I think right now what we're seeing is that they're trying to be careful. But my feeling about the Olympics is that they're trying to use this as a hot point, right? I wouldn't say they're going to try to cause any COVID issues, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if somebody's going to try to grab some data on somebody. It's not nice to say, but possibly steal their identity.
You know, that happens quite a bit, a lot, and that can be very easily done, especially with like the type of technology that exists. You just walk up to somebody and boom, you got what you need, and you're out of there.
Yeah, that's terrible, isn't it?
It is. It's devastating.
And a lot of people don't even know, how this works. Somebody could send you a text. You click on that text. You don't know what you're clicking. You go to a website, and bam, you just suddenly ran something that may actually grab information on your phone.
Yeah,
Did
and
you
that's
know?
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something you have warned about in previous episodes, and I think it's really good to urge that same message to the audience. That's good.
I want to give you a truthful fact.
Mhm.
There are about 4.8 million identity thefts and fraud reports received by the FTC, and that was in 2020. And 45% were from 3.3 million in 2019,
Wow.
mostly due to a 113% increase in identity theft complaints. So in the 2020 year, 1.4 million complaints were for identity theft, up from 651,000 in 2019. You think that problem is growing? I do.
Yeah, it's an increasingly growing problem.
And so I think it becomes an issue where, they try to masquerade, they try to get you to click something. But even if they don't, they send you something and say, oh, gee, click here, click there. Or, you think it's something with your phone and you don't realize that a text is going to send you to a website that could potentially steal information from your phone.
This is very true.
This is why you want to make sure that you're on the latest patch. For those of you that are using the Apple phone, just to let you know, the latest patch right now, and the latest patch, just to make sure I'm up to date, they haven't changed it in a while, but I will tell you that they've been pushing out more and more updates, more than I have seen in a while, and I think it's because of these security things.
Yeah, it's got
So
to be.
So we are right now on 15.2.1. And if you don't have that, you could potentially have some open doors into your phone from Java, etc. That could leave you feeling like a victim.
Yeah, those scammers get pretty crafty, and that's terrible.
It is. And the thing is, most people, going to a game, you don't think somebody's gonna basically hack your identity. You wouldn't expect that, right?
Right.
I was talking to a lady a few weeks ago, and I told her we have a great solution for this. You know what she did? She was challenging me, asking me, "How do you know you have the best one?" I said, "We do." I said, "We design the security for Wall Street." And he says, "Well, how do you know it's the best?" I said, "Well, Wall Street's pretty much top of the line." Yeah, well, how do they know? Meanwhile, she's selling an identity service for $19.99. I said, "Well, that's nice, but that's not going to save you when your whole network's been hacked. That might protect your identity, but it's not going to save your information to possibly clone your identity." It's
Right.
not that simple where you just say, "Hey, you get one of these services and they protect you," which yes, but a lot of damage, Marcus, could be done before that's even discovered.
Hmm.
And a lot of these services, I'm not going to mention any specifically, but they have these people that don't speak English. They're overseas and they're reading a script. And that's it. That and some program is behind protecting your identity. I don't feel very comfortable about that.
That's not safe at all. Think you got a safer time just jumping off a building.
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones like
Yeah.
the major credit bureaus, you're probably better off with them
Right.
than a lot of these companies we see. I don't want to call them fly by nights, but they start in 1999, 29.99, and then you have a question and they can't help you. They can only help you with your account. You want to do something else? Oh, we'll have to check on that. And it's like I don't know. When I think of customer or client services, I think of somebody that actually can do something for me.
Yeah, not good, well versed script readers.
That's what I say to the lady. I had one the other day, and I said, "Could you please do me a big favor and stop reading the script?" I'm sorry about that one. Which one? Oh, that one. So where were we? No, I said, "Stop reading the script." Okay. You want a supervisor? Stop reading the script. And they don't get it. And then sometimes, they get very defensive. And I say to them very nicely, "Look, with all due respect, I understand you're reading the screen. I don't want to talk to you if you're just reading the screen. I want to talk to somebody who
Yeah.
can help me. So please do me the biggest favor. Don't placate me." I'm trying to be as nice and as courteous as I can be. And you know what the lady told me? She said, well, you're actually being very rude.
You being rude, but you're the customer.
It's absolutely crazy. Well,
That's
Marcus,
craziness.
we are at the top of another hour again. I don't know where our time goes. I do want to thank everybody for coming tonight. There's lots of great topics we have coming up this year, but I do want to announce a brand new show on transformyouradio.com. If you go to shows on the site and you scroll way down to Inspiration with You, I'm the host of that show. And every single day, I actually do a live stream, and then we actually save those files so you can replay them later. And like the one that we were doing last week, I believe was I think it was something like how to handle a liar or liar behavior. There's another one that I think we're just finishing up today. Today's the last day of it, and that is how and why to show gratitude in your life. And the thing about it, Marcus, a lot of these things that I'm sharing with people, if people just take time and listen to what's being said, there's so much you can do with your life. And I think if that resonates with people, because a lot of people I know want a purpose, they want to know why they're here, they want to be able to do stuff, but for whatever reason, they can't. And that's not really anyone's fault but the person, because once you say can't, you are actually saying you don't want it.
Yeah.
And you're shutting down the universe's ability to bring it to you. We've talked about law of attraction before. You're just saying, okay, I don't want it. I don't want the money. I don't want the relationship. I don't want the success. As soon as you make an excuse, right? I've said this before. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And if you're not willing to understand, and I always tell people this, look, if you can't do something right now, it's like, look, I understand. What would it look like when I do it? Or how can I do this? Not, I can't do this today. Okay. What do I need? Show me what I need to know. Universe, show me what I need to know to solve this problem. You need to start thinking that way and not, oh, I can't do this. I don't have the clue. Okay. I'm a little lost today, and I need some guidance on where I can find help. You always got to finish it. You can't start with I can't or things like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have an idea for a show, reach out to us at jmoore.com. If you'd like to be a guest, click on Reach Out Today. Apply through our automated podcast booking system, where we'll vet you as a guest pre-interview after you pitch us. If we like your pitch, we'll accept you for a pre-interview. If not, we will thank you, because we can't bring everyone online. We want great educational people. And if you have a product that you'd like us to unbox, let me know. But definitely check out the brand new show that released on Transform You Radio just a few weeks ago, Inspirations for Your Life. I know it's pretty catchy, and the topics we're coming up are pretty interesting. And if you're looking to become a guest on that show, we are open to that as well. It has been an amazing evening, Marcus. Very grateful, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to be with everyone here tonight on Transform You Radio Network, and here, of course, on the J Moore Tech Talk Show in 2022. I guess we got to wish everyone a wonderful weekend. So have yourself a great weekend, everyone. And remember, come back next week. But you don't just have to come back next week. You can go to Transform Your Radio right now, and you can start watching all that great inspiration. I know you want to become better. You don't have to wait till next Friday. There's so much great goodness that I pump out every single day. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to the J Moore Weekly Technology Show, where we answer your questions about how technology is supposed to work, and sometimes why you have challenges getting it to work that way. For more IT support and tips, just text IT support to 888-111. That's IT support to 888-111, and you'll get tips on technology. I'll see you next week right here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Remember, jmor.com.